Hey guys, Matt Allen, Tim Little, welcome back to Tactical Bassin' and welcome back to our Holiday Buyer's Guide series. Today, we're talking everything soft swim baits. So hopefully you guys got to see yesterday's video where we talked about hard swim baits. Today we're talking about soft swim baits, and the whole purpose of these buyer's guides is to save you guys money. These baits are on sale right now, and so we broke these things down into basically 3 or 4 categories and kind of picked the best baits for each category that are readily available and don't break the bank. So you want to kick it off?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So guys, as we talk about these, this is to help you choose the right baits for you, to take advantage of the sales if you're looking for baits right now, and to share with your loved ones going into the holidays so they can make effective buying decisions as well. We'll link everything in the video description for you in the order we talk about it. First up, we're talking bluegill swim baits. By far the smallest baits in the category, but very effective baits nonetheless. The bluegill category is one that has had a lot of innovation over the last 5 to 10 years. There's always been bluegill swim baits around, but a lot of them, they were kind of nichey around the spawn, right? And it's the last few years that you've got really effective baits that fish year round. Let's go just smallest to largest here. First one up from Megabass, this is the sleeper gill. It's a very unique little bait. Obviously, you don't need a dedicated jig rod for this. You don't need a dedicated swim bait rod for this. You could throw this on a 7-foot medium heavy. It's not going to take a lot to set this little guy, but it is a very effective bait. This little swim bait has a hidden hook that's tucked away inside that dorsal fin. So you can throw this thing in and around cover and slow roll it, and those fish will come out and hammer it. Typically for me, it's springtime, right? Fish pushing the bank, early spring, they're moving up, and you can skip back along docks, cover, all that stuff, and just slow roll that bait out of there. It's been a very, very effective bait. The other two, these are both from Savage Gear. Here, we have the RTF bluegill. This is such a unique little bait. Again, small bait, small jig hook, but RTF stands for ready to fish, which means it's got a jig hook in it. That's sort of how their code language works. That is such a fishy bait. We have caught them for years on that thing. Got a little wedge tail on it, tight little action, and it just looks so realistic. And again, 10, 12, 15-pound line and send it. It's not a big deal at all. Then last but not least, again, Savage Gear. Here we have the line through bluegill. This is a very unique bait. The line goes through the nose, comes down, pops out, and you tie to your belly treble, and it can slide up and down the line when you have a fish on. You can also run through and set that treble in the back and have a top hook line through. Personally, I've done the best with the belly arrangement. The bait is very stable that way. It fishes really well. But that bait is always on my list of top soft baits for somebody to try. If you're new, you're looking for one bluegill bait, that's always my recommendation because it fishes so well and it's so simple.
All right, next category we have Paddletail swim baits. I'm gonna get these guys right here. So I'm gonna talk about treble hook or belly hook paddletails. Right here we have the Mag Draft by Megabass. Okay, we have a 6-inch and an 8-inch. Let's talk about the 8-inch first. Let's talk about the 6-inch first. This is a really cool little swim bait. What's special about both of these is when you get that right reel cadence, you get that head and tail action working together. So you get a lot of head wobble, you get that tail kick, you get a little bit of belly roll, and the fish just can't resist them. So where do I throw each? So the 6-inch, this is primarily what I'm fishing on spotted bass fisheries. If I'm fishing around, out there like Lake Shasta or Oroville or out here, some of the Highland reservoirs, right, where you have a lot of laydowns and stuff, you skip these baits, they have a built-in magnet in the belly. So you stick this in there and that magnet holds that treble hook up tight against the belly, so you can get real accurate. You can skip these things up under docks. We do it here on Chickamauga a ton. But for the little guy, I'm skipping around laydowns. I'm skipping around up under docks, you know, lakes like Hartwell or Linear, you know, lakes that have a lot of that type of stuff that have big spotted bass. This is a little awesome. It's a little killer. It's an awesome little swim bait. You don't need huge swim bait gear to throw this stuff, but again, it's all about getting that perfect cadence and getting that bait to do that head wobble and that tail kick. But having, the reason why I say the spotted bass, they typically come through, they shoot up from bottom, they come through that bait from the bottom up, and that's why I like having the belly hook. But that little 6-inch belly hook has a swivel on there, so when you do hook those fish, they start jumping, they can't get a lot of leverage, and that really helps with your hook to land ratio. But that 6-inch is a cool little swim bait, and it doesn't necessarily need, like I said, that big swim bait gear. Now let's talk about the big guy. This is what I throw on a true swim bait setup. Yep. You know, I'm as I'm talking about it, I'm remembering some big ones that ate it here. Like one is like almost 9 pounds. I skipped it up under this little tunnel, and just, they eat these things so hard, and comes up and tail walks, big old mouth. But that guy right there, same thing, has that real subtle head shake, that belly wobble. Now that paddle tail is typically a tail. We're gonna talk about wedge tails here in just a second, but a little bit wider kick, more of an aggressive kick, I'd say. You typically fish those in your warmer weather months, right? And your early springs through summer, fall, as we start transitioning into the colder weather, that will go to the wedge tail, but a little bit more of an aggressive kick. But this guy right here, if you want to go after big fish, if you're going after big largemouth, that's where I go with the 8-inch versus the 6-inch. But this thing skips amazingly as well. I know we were on a bite the last couple years on this lake, skipping this thing around the docks, up. We have a ton of laydowns here, and those fish just come unglued, come out and just hammer it. So again, this is a really fun swim bait to fish. It's easy. Just you know, when you first get one, tie it on, throw it out there, understand your real quick cadence where you get that good look, and you guys will catch fish.
All right, so those are your treble hooked baits. Let me talk jig hooked baits, so top hooks, still boot tail style. We'll work down in size. This is the 7-inch. This is a JSJ loose caboose. This is a unique bait. So this lands for me in that perfect size class that does a really good job of imitating a gizzard shad. I throw a lot of that 8-inch mag draft. I throw a lot of the 6-inch burrito that we're about to get to, but right in between them is that sweet spot, that 7-inch. It's a very effective size that is often overlooked. The JSJ loose caboose has a really good solid kick to it. I can fish it up in the water column, just chucking and winding. I can also let this thing go to bottom and slow crawl it and just bump bottom with that bait, but it has been very effective for me. Going a little smaller, also it's a silicone bait. So you pay a little bit more up front for silicone baits. There's a lot more material costs in them, but the durability is amazing. Stepping down in size, we get to the burrito. The Baca burrito, this is the 6-inch and this is the 5-inch. It is an unbelievable bait. I mean, it is just a flat fish catcher. These baits are remarkable. They're fairly fast sinking, although the 6-inch also comes in a medium sink. But you can fish them effectively from 2 foot of water around docks to 35 foot of water creeping bottom. They'll do all of it. They've got a very tight tail kick that I would almost call a vibration. When that thing's, you can feel it on the end of your rod, and the fish feel it too, and they come to that thing. It's very rare that a swim bait stands out from the crowd that much. So much so that Tim and I had nothing to do with these baits, nothing. But the bait was so effective that we went to Mike Buca and said, hey, we would like to get you to build some colors of that bait because we're catching so many fish on them, and we feel like the colors could take a leap from there. So the first one was Tactical Shad. It's an incredible color. It sort of blends an electric shad with a Tennessee shad. And that color has done so well for us and everybody else that we went back to Mike and was like, hey, how about a couple more? Because here's the thing, that Tactical Shad, it's sort of ghosty, right? When you hold that thing up to the light, it's a little bit ghosty. And in the springtime, a lot of times you get that off-colored water, and then you get the same thing in the summer. All that boat traffic, you start getting algae. We get a lot more of that dingy water. So we did Tactical Gizzard Shad, which is very similar, but in a solid, right? So when you got that stained water, it stands out better. And then we did Tactical Chartreuse Shad, which is that true bold, but I mean, it's not bold chartreuse, but if you guys knew the number of variations of chartreuse glitter and coloring we went through to be able to get a chartreuse hue while still being a very realistic, natural type color, we put a lot of work into that, dialing in that color. We wanted chartreuse, but we didn't want, you know, chartreuse. Bold chartreuse. And those three colors as a family are so incredibly effective. And again, in a bait that we had nothing to do with, we just realized its fish catching potential and went and said, hey, let's build some fish catching colors for this thing. And here we are.
They eat them for sure. All right, two more paddle tails or boot tails. So I talked about this guy right here, right? And I should say that's more of a chuck and wind bait. Like Matt talked about being able to fish the jig hook baits on bottom, you know, having the hook on the top of the bait versus on the belly makes them a lot easier to drag on the bottom or fish close to the bottom. These guys skip it out there, start reeling it back, let it, you know, you can fish it mid column. But if you need to fish that, have that action that I talked about a little bit deeper, I got two options for you. Got this guy right here. That's the 6-inch freestyle. Okay, but we have a special, what's this guy called? It's the Z-Man, it's a
Z-Man head, that's the diesel head. We'll link it in the video description for you.
It's got a gaff on it. So if you're a guy that needs this body action, body roll, the tail kick, but you want it at deeper depths, you want to fish it off of ledges, or you want to fish it off your main lake points, whether you're getting into wintertime, a little bit cooler, like deeper water in fall, but those fish are just out a little bit deeper and you want to be able to fish near bottom, we take a little bit off of the head and we put that jig hook on there. Again, it's a gaff, you're not going to bend it out. Caught giant stripers on it, caught a lot of big fish, big largies on that guy as well. And then for you guys that are fishing around grass, around laydowns, or you need a weedless version of this guy, we have that one paired up with a beast hook, okay? Again, it's a weedless bait. Hook it right through the belly. Again, that mag draft, that I don't even know how to really explain the. It's a whole body action. It's a whole body roll that really makes it special. But again, it's got a little slit in the belly right here. You take your beast hook, rig it in, and now you can skip this around laydowns. You can skip it up through your brush piles. Out here we have water levels dropping. We have a lot more exposed grass. So now we have a good weedless version, but we're getting that same tail kick. We're getting that same belly roll, but you are weedless.
I watched him catch a big fish on that bait in Texas in mesquite brush, which is like, the stuff is so strong. You can't break it. And he was winding back through that stuff and he hooked a fish that locked him up so bad and they came nose to nose. And this fish was so, I thought he was going to pull an entire mesquite tree out of the bottom of the lake to get that fish. But that is such an effective way to reach fish that you can't reach any other way.
I forgot about that fish. Yeah, we were fishing way back in a lot of standing timber, and that fish, I mean, you have those bites that you'll remember for a long time. That one I remember. That one hit so hard, and those fish down there in Texas, they pull so hard, and that was a fun one.
I remember it too because I set the hook. And 2 seconds later, you set the hook, and mine was about this big on the same bait and came right out, and yours had you locked up.
Yeah, a little bit bigger.
All right, last but not least, let's talk wedge style baits, okay? The wedge style category, they're more methodical baits. They work really well year round. They shine in the winter time, but as a shad imitator, they can work year round. This bait is the most innovative wedge tail bait that I have seen in a decade plus. From Z-Man, this is their brand new Shadtron. So this is a line through bait. It's a jig hook bait. You can also go through the belly to a treble if you want to, but it comes as a jig hook bait. So line goes through the nose, up and out the back, and you tie to that jig hook, and then you slide it back into that slot, and it goes in there secure. It clicks into place, and it's solid. That is such a neat bait. Tight little action on it. It is very thread fin-like. I mean, it is a very, very fishy bait, and it's a Laztec. So you're going to catch a pile of fish on that bait without destroying it. I'm very impressed with that one. And then more of your larger profile, kokanee, trout type baits, those 8-inch baits. We've got from Savage Gear, that's their 8-inch RTF trout. Again, remember that RTF from the bluegill, ready to fish. So it's a jig hooked bait. And the other one from Huddleston, we have the 8-inch Huddleston Deluxe, which is just tried and true and has been there forever. These two baits are very effective, and actually I grabbed each one of them in my favorite color for that bait. This bait with that purple glitter in the back, I don't know what it is about that. I don't know if it just speaks to me or what, but my confidence is sky high, so I fish it a lot, so my catch rate on it is amazing. But I love that color in that bait, and I throw it exclusively in the fast sink. I really like the fast sink version. That's it for baits. You want to talk rods?
Yeah, let's talk rods. All right, for those of you guys that are swim baiters that want to get probably the best rod and reel that we've found for the larger swim baits is going to be the Loomis 966. It's just a special rod. We talked about it yesterday. It's one of those, there's not a lot of rods on the market where you can throw the true big, large treble hook hard baits as well as the jig hook soft swim baits and treble hook baits as well. So yep. A rod that can throw both your big jig hook baits and your hard treble hook baits, that Loomis IMX Pro 966, and then paired up with that the Calcutta Conquest MD, a newly revamped reel as of a year or so ago. This thing, I mean, I've loved the Calcuttas for years. I mean, you turned me on to them over a decade ago, but the new guy, the MD Dry, like it's a super low profile 300 size. It's not much taller than a low pro reel.
Yep.
But just the torque, just the power. If you need a reel that you're not going to get locked up on, this is an awesome combo. Again, having that that round reel, just the castability, again, that torque on that big power handle, yep, per se. This thing is an awesome top of the line swim bait combo.
And then one more for you. We can't do a video where we talk about an 8-inch mag draft without talking about my dedicated 8-inch mag draft rod. This is the Shimano Zodius 7.9 Extra Heavy. Tranks 300, 65-pound braid. This is a combo that I have set up just for throwing that bait. If that stresses how much we like the 8-inch mag draft, literally have a dedicated combo whose sole job in this world is to throw that one bait. The way this thing loads up, the way it handles them when you crack them and start hammering home on those fish, it's an unbelievable combo. Slightly shorter handle, which makes it really, because sometimes we're taking that thing and sending it, right? Across a point out in open water. But so often, we're skipping docks with it. Short little casts. Skipping around the edges of laydowns. That shorter handle makes that really easy to do. So that is my dedicated 8-inch mag draft combo as well. All right, I think with that, we wrap this one up. Again, these buyer's guides are running every day. So we will see you guys again bright and early tomorrow morning.
Yeah, one quick thing on that. He did say 65-pound braid. We are tying braid to a leader, but we'll link all that stuff down below. Guys, we appreciate you. If you like this video or learned something from it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys tomorrow.